All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome back for another episode, the DCUO Sourcecast, which is your source for all DCUO news, updates, all that stuff. Today we have a bit of a different episode than what you guys may be used to. I am rocking it alone once again here, which is fine. Just cool. It's better this way for this episode, anyways. We're going to talk about a couple things. Obviously, the big thing, real quick, just to get some news out there for everybody out there doesn't know. If you're not aware, all right, the whole 50% extra coins things going on for Amazon Fury 3. So make sure you guys get out there and spam that Olympus reg uh, because, a good majority of folks out there playing, still can't get past second boss on Gomreg, much less get past the second bosses on Gom Elite because apparently there's a nice little glitch out there people are using to beat it. And if you are doing that, then you are a sad, sad individual that you're just sad. Really sad. Gom Elite is probably one of the best raids they've put out for a while now. And that second boss fight is not impossible to beat. I went in there with some guys and we beat it. The first time we went in there, we tried Gom Elite, we beat it. Second boss fight is fun as hell. If you guys are freaking using any glitches to get past that, to cheat your way past that second boss fight, then you're just fucking pathetic and sad. But yeah, so extra coins. Go out there, farm that stuff, grind it up, get your OP pieces done, get your gear done, and all that. Survival mode's out. Try gun survival mode. I'm not really big into the survival mode thing. I'll probably end up doing it on Monday with my league. Who knows? But yeah, let's talk about the big thing here. Now, I'm not going to be throwing up any splashy or any forum posts or anything like that to read, verbatim for you guys because it's been out there for a while now, and we've seen all the feedback and heard everything that's been said about it. That test is still down right now, as far as I know. They haven't brought it back up for the weekend because they're making changes based off the feedback. But we're going to talk about why some of this feedback had to be given and why some of these changes had to be done in the first place. Because honestly, I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I don't understand why we got what we got with this stats revamp. It was not what we were advertised that we were getting. It wasn't, flat out. All we were, when we were, when they talked about the stats revamp, stats matter, and everything. We was what was talked about, what we were told was the removal of CR differential, removal of AMs, and removal of weapon mastery crit bonuses. Those were the three things we were told we were getting, and that's we figured. And if you thought that was all that was going to happen, if you thought that, 11 people here right now, maybe we'll get more. Who knows? Spread the word. Spread the word. I'm blowing shit up tonight. But show of hands there in the chat. Just if you thought that basically what was going to happen was they were going to roll it back. They were just going to roll the game back before CR differential, before AMs and everything. And that was pretty much all they were going to do, and then balance the powers after that. Who thought that's all was going to happen? Go ahead and take your time and all that. I'm not going anywhere for a little bit. But show of hands, who thought that was it? That's all we were getting. Yeah, Tom McCabbage. He thought that's all. That's what he thought all we were getting. Now, I guarantee you, probably 99% of the people out there thought that's all that was going to happen. Now, to be fair, those three things are happening. The CR differential has been removed. This is on test. CR differential has been removed. They are removing AMs. Dave, you didn't think that was all that was going to happen? Type me up what you thought. Type up what else you guys thought was going to happen. Type up what else you guys thought was going to happen. Because that's all we were told was going to happen. Was they were just going to remove those three things. But let me know what you guys thought the other things were going to happen. But as I was saying, to be fair, CR differential has been removed. AMs are being removed. Sort of. We'll talk about that in a minute. And weapon mastery crit bonuses are gone. Alright. Now we're looking at all these other things that happen. All these changes to the powers. You know, in particularly, and I know Trex is hosting this. I don't know if he's actually listening, but I'm going to talk about it, Trex. The cooldowns. Cooldowns for tank pulls. Controllers not doing CCs anymore. And to get back to my little, thing about, AMs being removed, sort of, remark. What is up with these power back powers for every power? All three of them have it. I thought we were getting rid of AMs. Isn't that technically what AMs did? You used the power, you got power back. Now, to be fair, all I have read is the original patch notes for these tests, for these powers, for electric, ice, and mental. I did not go in and read any of the feedback that was being given outside, and I did not really read any of the follow-up posts that may have been given by the devs, other than one thread, which I can't even talk to you guys about, to be honest with you. But so everything I know is from what I read on the original posts. Dave, all right. Yeah. I mean, and that's basically it. I mean, but so I've read the original posts, and that's pretty much it. Now, and I've had discussions with people, some folks in the CRT, folks I play with on the game, complete strangers sending me tells, and all that, bitching about this, bitching about that. I mean, I can't, sit here and just, say, oh yeah, well, this is what we wanted, because it's not. It's not. Yeah, Fleg, I get that, but you know what? We still got power back. All right. If you're a controller, you shouldn't be. If you're not a controller, you shouldn't be giving power back to yourself. That's just my thing. That's part of the controller's job. Which apparently they're trying to take that part of his job away from him a little bit here with these power back powers that each power is going to end up having. It doesn't makes zero sense to me whatsoever. But all these changes and everything, they don't make sense. One, they don't make any sense because they have not been explained. That's the biggest thing. If they would come out and explain these things, explain the reasons why, why the cooldowns were made so long, You know, if they came out and they explained, you know, instead of just saying, okay, this is what we've done to these powers, that's it. You know, and that's all they say. You know, I mean that of course, you know, everybody's going to go up in arms because they have no understanding why. There's no understanding or reasoning why behind all this. All these changes, aside from the big three that we were told was going to happen, which are happening. To be fair, they are happening. But other than those three big changes, everything else, nobody asked for them. Nobody asked for them. I don't care how you reason it. I don't care how you try to justify it. Nobody asked for these. Nobody asked for these changes. All right. Nobody asked for controllers not to be able to do, you know, crowd control anymore. Nobody's asked for, you know, any of this stuff. Any of this stuff. I mean, you know, yeah, we people came out and they said, hey, let's, make content a little bit difficult and all that. Healers, they're healing too much. Well, that doesn't mean you give them extremely long cooldowns and all that for healing. You know, you just you reduce the amount that they're healing. Yeah, they're on there's like at least 8 to like 12 different posts under testing feedback. Unkind that you can find. You know, it's about all the changes that they're making with this stuff. But yeah, you don't make significant changes to the mechanics of the powers. You just reduce the amount of healing that a healer can do. I mean, that's all you mean. I mean, don't get me wrong. I am ecstatic as all get out that BioCap is now covering 8 players. That is a huge change for electricity, which I am completely stoked about. And it's one of the changes I would have hoped would have come out of Stats Matter. That's one of the changes, that people asked for. Right? Nobody asked for a tank only to be able to freaking use its pull move every 12 seconds. Nobody asked for that. Nobody asked for controllers not to be able to crowd control. All we wanted, CR differential removed, AMs removed, weapon mastery combo crits removed, and then balance the powers. I understand there's some iteration there, there's some irritation out there by some folks and all that it looks like all the powers are going to be going purely might based. So if you just use a power and all that, like Celestial and Hardlight, they're mostly precision based, but it looks like they're going to be going into being power might based and everything. So every attack you do with your powers and all that, it's all going to be coming from your might. I understand folks being upset about that, but in the long run, I feel that's going to make it easier for them to balance all the powers if they're all might based, if they all do might damage. To me, that just makes more sense. Now, I will say, I looked at the notes for the weapon balancing they did, and I like it. It's not the ideal change that we were hoping for with weapons, as far as what how much damage they're doing, bang for the buck, risk versus reward and everything. It's not the ideal change that we were all hoping for, but it's a good middle ground as far as I'm concerned. The longer a weapon attack takes, the more damage it's going to do. So, folks, you're going to be out there. You're going to be seeing a lot of DPS using two-hander. Guaranteed. You're going to be seeing a lot of DPSs using two-hander out there. Especially with that throw. That throw takes forever. But, and Mega Smash is going to freaking hit like a truck again. So I'm ecstatic about that. But that being said, all this other stuff, nobody asked for this. Nobody asked for these changes. This isn't just, like tweaks. This isn't tweaks to the powers. This is like major changes to the mechanics of not just the powers, but the way that content is going to be. And nobody asked for that. Nobody asked for them to make DCUO 2 inside DCUO. All right, a lot of these changes. I mean, that's what it looks like to me. That's what it looked like to me when I was reading it all. I was reading it all. I was absorbing it all. And I was taking, took a break, read some more, and all that. Watched, read some more, read up on it, talked with some people about it. Took a break, read some more, thought about it, digested it more, and all that. Took a break, and then I sat there while I was thinking about it again. And it just hit me. It's like they're making DCUO 2 inside the current DCUO. And I'm just like, why? I mean, didn't Daybreak, formerly SOE, didn't they do this with Star Wars Galaxies once? I mean, if my history, if the stories that I've been told by longtime players of SOE games, Star Wars Galaxies, they did something like this with Star Wars Galaxies, where they completely changed up the way the game worked. And everybody hated it because nobody asked for it. I'm floored. I'm floored by this. Because I mean, it makes no sense. It made absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. Now I can't get into specifics or anything like that, but I can say feedback has been heard. I mean, we've seen. It's on the forums and everything. Test is down right now. They're, and we can only, hope and assume that they are making changes, based off of the feedback that's been given. But yeah, Atomic, it comes off slow. Now I will sit here and I will confess and be completely honest with you. I did not get on test to test any of these things out. Any of these powers out. One, because I'm not interested in how it does in leveling content. I want to see how it's doing in raid content. I want to see how it's doing in end content. All right, current content being run. I want to see how it does, how it stands up in raids like Paradox Wave. I want to see how it stands up in raids like Throne. I want to see how it stands up in raids like DWF. I want to see how it stands up in raids like GOM Elite. That's the kind of content I want to see how these powers stand up. Because leveling content, no matter what they've done to this game, leveling content has always been easy. The only reason why people don't complete leveling content on this game is because of poor direction by the game itself to point them in the direction they need to go to get to level 30 and then go beyond that. That's on the game itself. That's not on the players or the mechanics of the powers or the mechanics of the game. That's on the game directing players in the right, pointing the players in the right direction. Now, over the years, they've been doing a lot with the leveling content, and they've made a lot of improvements with that. So, that I am glad of, and I know it's made things a lot easier for folks to level up. But as far as testing powers in this content and in leveling content, and how are you supposed to test these kind of changes in Area 51, where most of the time you're in a group, everybody's spread out. Everybody's always spread out in Area 51. I mean, I remember running it at launch, Area 51 after launch, and people were still spread out all over the place, doing their own thing. Because it's not that hard. So, yeah. Leveling content, testing this stuff and leveling content just wasn't for me. I wasn't, I've leveled 18 characters on this game. I wasn't up for leveling another one. I want to test this stuff in end content. I want to test this stuff in difficult raid content. So that's what I plan on doing down the road here, if that option is made available to us. I'm just, really. Hold on a second. Shit. Uh, so yeah, and that's the content I want to test it in, because that's the content it needs to be tested in. It needs to be tested in content that's going to be difficult and everything. And that being said, though, just because I haven't been on tests, or others haven't been on tests that have come out and spoken up about this stuff, just because we haven't been on tests to actually test these changes out, all right, doesn't mean we can't read, see what the changes are, right, and what effect these changes are having on the power, right, and understand exactly how it's going to affect gameplay. All right, you got players out there that have been playing nothing but ice, or have been playing ice for going almost 6 years now. I mean, we're coming up on 6 years this game's been out. You got players out there who have been playing ice for that long. I've played ice, not as extensively as 6 years, but I've put in some good time playing ice. Not saying I rank up there with a lot of the ice, some of the best ice tanks out there, but I'm just saying, I mean, I know enough to know that these changes are, you take away two of Ice's shields and you don't give an explanation why. Shield tank Ice is a defense and shield tank. It's a defense and shield tank. And you take away two of its shields and you do not give us a reason why. And you wonder why people get upset. And you wonder why people, blow up and freak out. And everybody out there who's just like, well, let's just wait and see. Let's just wait and see how it is. How it actually works out. Well, you know what? I've been through that before. Anybody remember Season 3 for PvP? I mean, how much stuff in Season 3 for PvP was introduced that nobody wanted? Nobody asked for. I mean, I equate these changes to the powers and the basic and the main mechanics of how these powers work. I'm equating it to the removal of the RPS system from PvP arenas. That's how bad this is sounding to me. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. I mean, all they had to do, all that needed to be done was remove the CR differential, remove AMs, remove weapon mastery crit bonuses, balance the powers. Balance and tweak the powers. You want to go all might, actual powers, being used from the tray, being might based, fine. You want to do stuff like that? And it's going to be, applied towards, and the reasoning behind it being, so that, it's going to be easier for you to balance those powers out. Fine. Perfect. Fine with that. You want to go in and you want to balance out the weapons and everything and make the changes to them that you have. Fine. Perfect. That's what we were asking for. I just, makes no sense. Makes no sense. and I don't need people trying to sell me on it. Nobody asked for these changes. Nobody asked for these changes. If these changes are for a specific reason that can be construed out of the requests that were made, I still don't. You would have to seriously sit me down and explain to me why, or how these changes were done by request. I would need to see it. I would need to see it. I would need to see it to understand it. Yeah. Makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. Tomic says he got to the alerts, and his team of old school players with alerts with a balanced team was a clusterfuck. How so? I'm curious. Was it because you guys were a balanced team and not all DPS? I know one thing. Of course, I've had crappy heals in my ear a couple of times, and removing the dots from electricity. Why? I mean, what? Electricity was such a beautiful. It was such a beautiful dot power, and removing the dots from it doesn't make any sense. But then, of course, we're not given a reason why it was done. We're not told a reason why. And honestly, you know what? Sorry. Didn't mean to clap in your ears. Honestly, if the developers would just come out and say, all right, listen, the reason why we did it this way is because we're making these changes to the content. We're making these changes to the way, ads work, or we're making these changes the way bosses work, or if they would just come out and explain, give us the reasons why. That's the biggest thing. I mean, I want to repeat that question every time until I get an answer. Why? I just makes. I just don't get it. I honestly don't get it, and it's frustrated me all to hell. I've actually had to. I've logged onto the game shortly after these changes came out, and was frustrated and annoyed by it, and I just knew when I logged on, everybody in my league was going to be talking about it and complaining about it, and asking the same questions and saying the same things that I'm saying right now. Why? This doesn't make sense. Nobody asked for this. And it got to the point where, as soon as I logged on, I knew it was going to happen. I heard it for about 2 minutes, and I had to sit there and say, listen, guys, no offense to any of y'all, I don't want to hear this shit anymore. I don't want to hear about it anymore. I just want to play the game and have fun right now. But some of them still wanted to talk about it, so I was like, all right, no offense, I'm going to another chat. And I ended up going to another chat for the rest of the night because people are that upset. People are that upset. And it all goes back to not knowing why. Don't get me wrong. The devs are pretty transparent. They're pretty out there. They come out. They talk. Live streams are good. and everything. But when it comes to stuff like this, with the patch notes, we need more than change this to that. I mean, why did you change this to that? Why give Inescapable Storm a 12-second cooldown? And I don't know, man. I don't know. Drives me freaking nuts. Drives me nuts. And yeah, I agree. Like I said, I agree with you, Atomic. I mean, I feel they when this shit dropped and all that, they should have gone through. They should have done, the week leading up to the test server. Say, listen, we're doing these changes to this power. Let's do an ice live stream real quick. We'll do a quick ice live stream real quick, just to talk about these changes and explain why. They don't do that though. For some reason, and this annoys the hell out of me. Even with some of the inside information I get. Sometimes it's just there's like no. It's like state secrets. Yeah, I mean, 5 years now. I've been on the community council or the community roundtable. And I've never broken the NDA that I've signed. Never broken it. Never got told something by Meps or one of the devs, and and then tweet about it 5 seconds later and blurred it out to everybody. I've never done that. So the whole cloak and dagger thing with keeping the reasonings or explaining why the changes, it doesn't make any sense to me, especially with a vocal community that we have for this game. I mean, it may not be big, but it's pretty vocal. And it's pretty active. So I don't understand why. Just the why doesn't get me. It doesn't get me. But I mean, this along with a few other things have brought me up to. This has already gone longer than I had planned. This along with a few other things has brought me to the decision I've come to here. For all you guys out there, I mean, I love this Sourcecast. I love the Sourcecast. I love doing this podcast. In case any of you all that have been here for the last 3 or 4, and all that, I mean, we've done this is our 3rd episode, 213. I don't know if you guys all knew that or not. This is our 3rd episode, 213. It's not because I forget to change the title thing of the stream. It's not because I've lost the recordings of the previous episode 213s. It's because I wasn't happy with them. Wasn't happy with the quality of the podcast. I mean, I love doing this podcast for you guys and all that, but when it comes to discussing and debating the the changes and everything like that, and discussing the merits of certain changes, like the for instance when the vendor costs were revealed on test for Amazon Fury 3. I sat there and, pretty much, I'll flat out admit, that episode was horrible. That episode was horrible because I sat there and hemmed and hawed it a bit and, basically just kind of stuck by, every change that was made, every, decision that was made on the costs. the vendor costs. When in reality, after I, had a chance to digest the information more and think about it, I didn't like it one bit. But yet I did almost an hour long podcast saying how it was a good idea. It was a good idea. And yeah. So I mean, I didn't post it. In the last episode, this is my thing with a podcast, especially a podcast for a video game like this. When it comes to talking about the community, it comes to talking about changes that we'd like to see in the game, and changes that should be made to the game, or changes that have been made to the game. It's important to have another person, another voice there to talk about what's going on, what changes have been made, that, and to have a debate, Um, this podcast has been missing that debate for a long time. I mean, we had Crappy on and everything, and me and him, we see eye to eye on most things. Some things, our opinions differ on. But, it just, with him, getting, tired of the game and wanting to wait until Stats Matter came out, which I completely understood. I can understand his frustration. I just, I didn't have it in me to try and find somebody else out there that I could sit down with and have that type of conversation with. Now, I know a lot of people out there talking about, saying it's like, well, how come we don't have Brittany come back? Me and Brittany pretty much agree on 99% of the time. We agree on things. Believe it or not. When it comes to like PvE, when it comes to PvP, 99% of the time we agree on things. And all that would have been, with everybody out there making their little comments about Brittany, leaving when Trex did because she saw, she saw what was going to happen with the show. One, fuck you. Two, that would have just been me and Brittany just sitting here agreeing the whole time. And that would have been just another echo chamber. And God knows, based off this last election that we've had, the last thing people need is another goddamn echo chamber. And me here, sitting here, doing it by myself, it's still an echo chamber. I abhor echo chambers. And for anybody who doesn't know exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to an echo chamber, you ever sit down with somebody and, or see somebody or a couple people talking about something and they're completely misinformed about it. They don't have the accurate information. They are, and they're just, bouncing the same words off of each other, saying the same things back and forth to each other, and then you try to talk to them and tell them, hey, no, look, here's the real information, that this is what's really going on, and everything. They don't listen to it. They don't hear it because they're stuck in an echo chamber. All they're hearing is the same things that they're saying back and forth to each other. You'll get that a lot when you're trying to talk to people who, like Dark Horse out there who, who likes to go around and tell people that just because, they didn't get shot at, they didn't serve in the military, they're not really veterans. You'll talk to him about how booster bundles aren't a gamble and you're not, buying, you're getting your money's worth out of booster bundles. You go and try and tell him that, he's not going to hear it because he's stuck in an echo chamber with other retards like Imperial Commander or Detoxicity or Gesseni, or however the hell you spell his name. They're stuck in their own little echo chamber, right? There's no differing opinion amongst that group of people because they agree on everything. And as far as I'm concerned, that does not call for, or elevate conversation at all. It doesn't. I'm willing, most of you out there know this, I'm willing to sit down with anybody and have a calm and respectful conversation with anybody on this game. I walked into the lion's den a few months ago by going over and getting on Godman's podcast that he had with people in that chat that outright hate my guts. I mean, there was Lord God Irrelevant was there. Aiden freaking Stalkin' Warren was there. Titanium Shark was there. And a few others. I joked. These are all my biggest fans are here. But I sat there with those guys and I had a conversation with all of them for a good 2 hours plus about this game. I'm willing to sit down with anybody and have a calm, respectful conversation with them about this game. The only person that tried to pop off and raise up at me was Melvin. He was trying to get a rise out of me and it didn't work. But the problem is, there's so few people that are willing to do that themselves. There's so few other people that are willing to do that. Not just to, sit down and have a conversation, but raise the level of debate. Raise the level of conversation about things. I know I'm starting to sound a little preachy about stuff and all that, but I mean, nobody's willing to do that. Everybody latches on. They latch on to what other people say, and then they just feed off of it. And then feed into it. I mean, Crappy can come out. Like I said, me and Crappy see eye to eye on most things. There's a lot of things we don't. Crappy can come out and say, oh, this is just horrible. This is stupid. This is the dumbest thing ever. But it's actually a good thing. But because Crappy said it, he's got people that follow him, and they were going to say, oh yeah, Crappy's right, Crappy's right, Crappy's right. Obsidian Chill, same way. Obsidian, I mean, me and him don't see eye to eye on a lot of things. I respect occasionally I respect his views and opinions on things. But for the most part, I don't agree with his approach on things. Obsidian is really big on coming out and criticizing everything. Criticize everything down to the freaking bone. He's not big on giving suggestive feedback. His only form of feedback is telling everybody how wrong they are, or how wrong this is, or how wrong that is. This is something I've told him numerous times, so this isn't anything new. But he's really piss poor when it comes to making or giving suggestions on how to make things better. It just, and honestly, the way this community acts sometimes, it floors me too. With the level of hypocrisy that some people are willing to show towards players that are just, they're good at the game. They're good at the game. Everybody, it cracks me up whenever survival modes come out. We got Trigons out right now. And I'm sure Select Few's running it. I know they're running. I saw them shout, asking for, like a DPS or a troll earlier. For rounds 1 through 10. They're out there getting their progress points and everything. It just cracks me up because everybody, just like, oh, is always busting on Britney and Select Few and giving them shit, and accusing them of all this special treatment. And they're like, oh, look, Britney's streaming and MEPS showed up and, spawned ads on Britney. Oh, look at all the favoritism and special treatments she's getting. But OG Mentor can stream, streams like almost every damn day, it seems like. Mentor, and MEPS will pop over into his stream and spawn ads, and they'll do a little hunt for MEPS thing in the Watchtower. But I don't see any fucking shit given to OG Mentor about him getting special treatment or favoritism. I mean, you only get special treatment and favoritism if you stream and you're good at the game? Right? It's you don't get favoritism if you're ass at it and give fucking horrible loadouts? Is that what the deal is? I mean, seriously, some of you folks in the community, man, y'all need to get your heads out your asses. All right? Because one, it is just a game. Two, I mean, fuck, man, people, favoritism and special treatment. I wish all the people fucking coming at me telling me, so, oh, you're a GM, you can do this. You're a GM. Why don't you do something about it? Oh, you're a GM. You're abusing your powers because you did this. If I was a GM, one, I'd never fucking have to hear that bullshit from you again. Two, right? Just get, if I had as much influence on the devs as y'all think I did, this game would be entirely different. That PvP would be fucking glorious on this game instead of the afterthought that it is today. I just, I don't know, man. I don't know. It all boils down to one thing here. This is, like the, I don't know, second, third, maybe fourth episode 213 of the Sourcecast. And, it's not that I don't want to. It's not that I don't like sitting here and talking to y'all anymore. But y'all deserve a better podcast than what I can give you. I've seen the comments from some folks. I've, seen, folks in Discord talking about it. The DCUO Discord chat. I've seen them in there talking about it. For the most part, you're right. You're right. The podcast has fallen off since Trex handed it over to me. I won't deny that. I'm man enough to admit that. But to the other things that were said about, I don't know. Nothing against Trex. I love Trex. I love Trex to death. The folks that were saying that, I was no good I wasn't, good on the podcast at all, even when Trex was running and everything. I gotta say, and Trex will say this because he has said this before, this podcast would not be where it's at today if it wasn't for me. Now, granted, I've said before in the past too, Trex did all the work. I mean, he did everything. And it's not a matter of me not being able to do that as well. Do all the things that Trex did. But apparently I can't bring the jolly. I guess it is. I don't bring the jolly that Trex did to the podcast. And I can't do that, especially now. Especially now with the way things are right now with way these changes are right now currently on Test. And once again, I don't know if Test is live or not. I don't, get any updates like this. I mean, it would be great if, even if, they didn't want to do a live stream, to talk about the changes they've made to Test. I mean, every significant, change to Test that they've put out on this game, they've done it on a Friday evening. and I, rolled the time back to early, an hour earlier to do the podcast. Not just because I was taking our original time slot back, but as a way to like say, hey, listen, I mean, it's 6 o'clock where you're at. Maybe if you think folks might have some questions about this that's going on. Maybe this way it's an hour earlier and all that. You can hit up in the beginning of the show. And not get home too late. Never once had that offered. Never once had that offered, but whatever. Because this podcast has always been available to the devs to come on and talk about things. But yeah. So yeah, for now at least, I'm gonna wrap things up here. This is gonna be the last DCUO Sourcecast done by me for a while. If Trex is wanting to pick it back up, I don't know. I doubt it. We'll see. We'll see how he feels. He doesn't even know I was going to do this. But, yeah, I'm pretty much... can't do it anymore. It's honestly... I mean, it's not that I don't want to do the podcast anymore. It's a disservice to you all. Because all I'm doing is giving you what I detest, and it's an echo chamber. All you guys are hearing is, my, experienced, thoughts on it. My, how I feel about something and everything. And maybe every once in a while we're able to get into a conversation here in the chat about things. But, yeah, I feel that way a little bit too, Zero. I feel that way a little bit too, to be honest with you. But I'm not holding any grudges or any animosity. But yeah, so, I mean, let's face it, the viewers are going down. Atomic Cabbage, by far, you have been the most consistent person to show up every week, or every live podcast I've done. I appreciate it. A few others out there, you know who you are, that have stopped by, and I appreciate you all too. And I appreciate everybody here that showed up tonight. We got up to 23 people tonight, which is pretty good. Pretty good for this podcast. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up here. I got some raids to run to farm for coins, getting my OP neck, at least getting my OP neck this weekend. And I know Atomic, and I'll try to do something in regards to getting the news out and everything on maybe more on a as it's posted basis. I'll just like throw a video up talking about it real quick on my YouTube channel. But or maybe I'll do a quick live stream of it and talk about it. But I can't sit here and carry on, and nothing against any of y'all who did, converse with me. I can't sit here and carry on a conversation with myself about this stuff for an hour or so anymore. Like I said, it's just an echo chamber that is a disservice to y'all. I would much rather have you guys, have an informed, be able to form your own opinions based off of informed opinions by other people, not just one person. And I can't provide that for you guys right now. Maybe down the road things will change. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe Trex want to pick the show back up and bring me along again. We'll see. I don't know. But until next time, though, I want to say again, I really appreciate you guys. I've had a lot of fun doing this podcast. I'm going to miss doing this podcast. I'm going to miss talking to y'all. And sharing, having conversations and stuff. But until things, situations are different and all that to where I can do things better, this is going to be it. So, remember, folks, and all that, if you guys do have access to the test server and are willing to, grind a tune up to level 30, get on it. Give the devs your feedback. Tell them what you feel. Tell them what you think. Let them know. And do not for 1 second let up on it. Do not for 1 second let up on it. Because the moment you let up on it, the moment that they stop paying attention to it. I'm not saying that as a negative. They just feel like it's no longer an issue. They feel it's no longer an issue, so they move on to the next issue. Which is, how most people deal with things. But yeah. Give me your feedback. Well, however you get your feedback to them. Get it to them. But until next time, though, you guys, y'all enjoy. Y'all take care. Love y'all. Good night, goodbye, and good luck.